Hello, everyone. Happy to have you here today. This is part 2 of Digital Mosaics. And let me go ahead and share my screen. Alrighty, guys. So again, this is part 2 of Digital Mosaic. So we started working on this project before, and we're going to continue working on it today. Again, you're going to love this project. And today I included a picture of an actual mosaic just to make that connection to realize that this is an actual art form. And so even though we are working digitally, we are referencing things that exist in real life. It also to kind of plant a bug in your head that we are going to be eventually doing our background. So I kind of want you to be thinking forward to how your work is going to be with a background, even as you're working on finishing up your subjects today. Our goals, by end of class, we want to be 100% done with our subject, but we also want to take some time to evaluate our work. We're going to ask ourselves some questions just out of the bat, right from the front, so that we can be thinking about them as we work, and then we're going to be asking them again when we get to that 100% to kind of go back and make some edits or changings to make it exactly how we want. So our big question that I kind of always want us to be asking ourselves is, how do I know my work is successful? What's, in my head, what does good mean? And I don't have like a perfect one answer for this because it's art and you get to make a lot of decisions and choices. But if you're making decisions and choices thoughtfully, then it's going to end up successful. So here's one of the questions I want you to ask yourself as you're working today. I say, how does the space between polylines affect the overall picture? Polylines. And here's two examples. In this example, you can see here the artist has left quite a bit of space. I can still tell it is a red panda, but maybe the artist wants to consider like evaluating that and see if they need to add in some polylines. And here's an example where there's pretty little space in between each one. So, and how does that affect the overall picture? So these are questions you ask yourself about your own work. Color is an important part of this. So ask yourself, how effectively am I using color? Can I tell? This is our game, made so many mistakes. Can I tell where my shadows are? So when I'm looking at this example here and I'm looking at the main color and the shadow color, I'm asking myself, like, is this effective? Can I tell where my shadows are? Do I want to use the colors from my photograph, or do I want to kind of branch out and make it my own? And then this is another question related to color, but this is kind of after you delete your photograph. How do my colors work together? And so I took this example and I changed the grout up so that you can kind of understand what I mean by how do these colors work together. So there's colors working together within the subject. For example, in this example, the shadow red plus is the main red. But then there's also how nicely are your colors playing together when it comes to that grout. So our goal is 50% today. I do want to do just a quick demo on just a refresher on using that polyline tool. If you feel like you know how to do the polyline tool and you just want to go jump to your work, then bam, go jump to your work and you can skip this part of the demo. But if you're like, Ms. Argain, I'm still struggling with this polyline tool, then stay with me a bit and let's watch. So I've been working on my project. It's actually about 85% done since last we looked at it. But you can still see I have a lot to do with the black, and then I haven't changed all of my colors yet. So what I just did right now is a wonderful tool for evaluating your work. So all I did was I clicked on the actual photograph and I pressed delete on my keyboard, which deleted the photograph. That way I can just kind of look at it as a whole, see what I'm missing, look at my spaces. How is my spaces doing? I'm liking it. Like this area right here feels very solid. And then how are my colors working together? Like, am I satisfied? Am I happy with the variety of oranges that I've used? Do I want to stay with the orange, or do I want to change up the color to have a different emotion? These are the thoughts and the questions that are going through my head. Now I do need my photographs. I'm going to press undo and get my photograph back. And then this is a really important tool. These polylines, I could not have possibly made them looking at my artwork from this distance. So be sure, my tools today, I'm going to be working with a lot are up here. I'm going to zoom in, and you're going to want to go to about 200%. That's, and you can see here, this is where I made these shapes and we're able to be successful. If you really like these teeny tiny details, these black spaces, you can even past 200%, you can still choose to zoom in. And this took me to, I don't know, a lot more. Alrighty, so let's get a quick refresher on the Polyline tool. So when you first enter your work, your Polyline tool won't be there. It'll say Line tool. So remember that we are having to go down and select the Polyline tool. There you are. And then once I've changed it to the Polyline tool, I don't need to keep pressing down on that arrow. I can simply click on Polyline. And I know I have a polyline now because my cursor changed to a plus sign instead of the select. So select, you can see, is like a plus sign but has arrows in the end. That way, you know, to indicate that you can move things, whereas the polyline is just a plus sign. And I'm ready to start filling in some of these black spaces here. I have been using like a lot of like more angular, triangular shapes. However, some artists have chosen to go with some more like rectangle shapes. Since those are all polylines, that is totally fine. This is a place where you can make some decisions about if you want it to be more triangles or more rectangles. I've left a bit of a space there. Let me just fill that in. All right, so let me make sure I'm really articulating like how to physically use this polyline tool. All right, and if you can see in my little video of me, Miss Argane, up in the corner. So I use two hands when I use the polyline tool. I click with my left hand and I move with my right. So I have both hands on my mouse pad and I'm going to use my left index finger to click to start my line. And my polyline is active when it's a blue line. Blue means active, kind of how select is blue. Blue is what you're working on. All right, so I want it to go to here. So now I'm moving this blue line with my right finger. And now I want to make a straight line to there, so I will click just once, just a single click, and that kind of pauses it there. So now I'm moving with my right, single click, nice and gentle, move, single click with the left, move, and then this is the most important part about using the polyline tool. When I'm ready to end this, I have to go back to the very beginning. Let me zoom in even more because I really want you to see this part. And if you need to zoom in this much to do your work, that's okay. So this blue line must come all the way back to the beginning. And you'll notice that when it gets close, it kind of wants to snap there because that's what you're supposed to do with the polyline, is go back to the beginning. That is what will create this closed off shape. If I double click, it will form a solid black line. And here's kind of a common mistake I'm seeing is kiddos creating 3 lines and then asking me, Miss Argane, how do I fill this in with color? Unfortunately, you can't, because those are just separate line segments. So it's really important that you go back to the beginning, and it is only correct when it fills in with this light blue color. There is, unfortunately, you know, if I'm clicking and I accidentally double click, there is no fix for this. I'm just going to select. I know it's selected because it's got this blue outline, and I'm going to press delete on my keyboard. And I'm going to keep working. I don't mind working at this super zoomed in size, to be honest, because it's so easy to see everything. Alrighty. I want to go ahead and also address some common mistakes I was seeing. And I exampled that here. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. I'm going to delete my photograph for a second to show you the common mistake I was seeing. If you've used the polyline tool before, then maybe you know how to trace an entire shape, and you traced an entire ear, the whole body, and you just made it one solid shape. Well, that's not a mosaic. A mosaic is made up from lots of smaller pieces. So this is actually incorrect up here. Let me annotate that. Incorrect. That's a little difficult to see. And then just to contrast that right here, the way that I have segmented this leg, that is correct. So incorrect is tracing a whole body part. Whereas correct is pieces, segments, etc. So I will actually end up deleting this. Delete. Although I have to teach this live in a little bit, so I'm gonna leave that there for now. I also want to review how to change the color. So I'm going to select this triangle. I want my border line. I just want to take some time to make sure y'all know which one is which. The first one is the fill color. And then this one here is the border. Right here. So I want my border to be set to transparent or clear. And then of course my fill color is whatever color I'm doing. However, like literally there's going to be hundreds of shapes, so we don't have time to do that one by one. So let me show you how to select multiple at a time. I have one selected. I'm pressing Shift on my keyboard. It should be on the bottom left, and it's Shift. So I'm holding Shift, Shift, and then click my second shape. Now I have two selected. Shift, click. I have three. I'm holding down Shift, click, Shift, click, Shift, click, Shift, click. And that's going to let me select multiple at a time. Change my border color to transparent, my fill to black. This is going to allow me to work really quickly. I would recommend not waiting until the very end to change your colors. Generally speaking, I like to do, I will do a section of black, change the color. And the reason is because, which I've made this mistake just now, is when I'm looking at this body, it's hard to remember if those were supposed to be white or if they were supposed to be black. I actually forgot to add my photo back, so I get to, yeah, there we go. There's my photograph. So yeah, so once I've done all of these little white pieces, I'm gonna go ahead and color them, because if I start filling in this in with black, it's gonna get super confusing super quick. So do not wait until the very end to start doing your colors, or you will get confused. Go ahead and do it as you go along. All right, I'm not going to demo forever and ever because you need time to work on your work, but let's just do a quick recap of what we need to get done today. So our goal is to be 100% done with subject. And just so you know, next week is starting background. But we also want to evaluate. We want to look at colors and spacing. Those are kind of the big ones that are going to affect how people like our work. And then remember, you can, not forever, but just for a minute, you can delete your photograph and look at your work to see if you like the spacing, if you need to fix the spacing, if you like the colors, if you want to change the colors. And then you just press undo to get that photo back. Delete, undo, delete, undo. Please don't forget to add your photo back, because we probably are going to need it to continue evaluating as well as working on the background. I cannot wait to see your progress and to see your improvement this week. And I can't wait to see your projects. I'll stop sharing so I can say thank you for watching today and good luck.